My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Thank you. Bathroom monitoring at Coin Laundry, where I've already documented the fake sun from morning until sunset at the Ontario Village at that Coin Laundry, which is where I'm at now, which of course is where the entity has the fake sun, which would never be the case if that was a sunrise at 415 North Euclid Avenue. This is, again, where the entity is gang stalking, flying right over where the fake sun rises over me. Southwest Airlines, again, hovering over the village, hovering over where the fake sun is situated. Southwest Airlines engaged in domestic terrorism in the United States, conspiring murder of American citizens, where criminal surveillance is indeed underway. The lawnmower is audible activity and relevant positioning. They're engaged in bathroom monitoring. Gang stalking immigrants are violent sex offenders, and they're engaged in what is monitoring my vagina, and they're doing so with the United States government. As the Ontario police have demonstrated, they will terrorize and torture and harass and threaten American citizens that enforce their constitutional and human rights against immigrants that are only granted a privilege, a contingency to remain in this country, which is directly, diametrically opposed to the Constitution and to the stance of the federal government. This is relevant to ongoing terrorism that a corrupt company like Southwest Airlines and the Ontario National Airport, Alan D. WAPNER, they share in that terroristic agenda. They share in that un-American conduct, and this is criminal activity. 9 TEB 724. That's not the sun. That's a 415. That's also not sunlight. This is monitoring. That's impossible light. This is a demon, and they were all monitoring my vagina. That's why Southwest is flying over the venue, where I'm showing you the fake sun is in alignment to the venue. Remember, the entity, Southwest Airlines, United Airlines, Delta, is engaged in what is flying over my head at the Economy Inn, which is nowhere near the Starbucks at 706 West Holt. That's off of the 60 freeway on Euclid Avenue. This is Holt Boulevard in San Antonio. Very specific movement of a fake sun. Very specific pattern where that fake sun is present. Stalking by plane and helicopter. Terrorism in the United States. Sexual violence inherent to that. While a bunch of gang stalkers, many of whom are the immigrant population, are engaging in terrorism. This is audible activity of relevant position. This is pursuant to monitoring and psychological torture. It is not constitutionally protected conduct that is just random. A special needs person with a lawnmower on the asphalt. They're monitoring. And they were monitoring, engaging in the elements of monitoring. It's a significance under the fake sun and in the engineer light. It's inhumane and it's unconstitutional. It's surveillance. License 9PEB 724. I'm going to continue documenting by podcast 4D 48568, 8L03 734, P.O.C. License plate 8ZUT 189, 7MVA 051, 7983 9R2. All these sex offenders monitoring my vagina. Homosexual women, sex offenders of the immigrant population. They're not even welcome in this country. And in Ontario, the entity, the government is engaged in what is terrorism with immigrants in this country, violating federal law, by the way, 18NZ 695. And this is relevant to these so-called shelters, and by shelters I mean the policy that the state of California maintains, the interest that they have in quote-unquote protecting immigrants, and relevant to that is the fact that they are of the same condition. These are demons, protecting demons that are invested in criminal activity together, demons that are sharing in terrorism together, and that's also relevant to the so-called protection that the state of California, large counties like Los Angeles and San Bernardino County provide to the immigrant population. They're terrorists, and deportation is necessary. 7HHS 147, 18Z 695. And the unlawful system of criminal surveillance, as it is interrelated to immigration, is relevant to the laws that sit on the books with regard to what California claims to be providing for immigrants in the United States. As some sort of doctrine, which by the way is in violation of the Supremacy Clause, as though California can provide more protection for immigrants when you're in violation of the federal law. No, you can. And that has been addressed to a degree. I'm not going to go deeply into that, but it's relevant, the fact that the government's engaged in terrorism with immigrants in California. That's relevant to any sort of claim of protection that you can provide. No, that's not applying to unlawful conduct to terrorism in the United States. That's just relevant context. 9SCR003, 7WHJ653, 2S29933. And that is, again, the fake sun that's over me at the Coin Laundry. I'm documenting the fake sun at Coin Laundry after 4 and 5 and 6 p.m. Documented literally the sunset. This is already on the record. Documented impossible light activity, as I'm showing you at every other location inside of that Coin Laundry, where no sunlight is shooting inside of the depths of any building, let alone that Coin Laundry, while you're driving in the parking lot, while you're driving in the parking lot in the shade, while you're driving in the parking lot in the shade under the sun that's over the building, beside the building. The fake sun has nothing to do with what are the demon-possessed people of the state, who also make up the immigrants in the entire state of California who are engaging in domestic terrorism. And the Department of Homeland Security has federal jurisdiction to deport the entire immigrant population in California. They're engaged in what is criminal surveillance. It is domestic terrorism, and it is an unprecedented basis to deport every single last one of them, as the P.O.C. proves that this is a statewide criminal system. 5FWV 517, 8LBG 663, 7AXC 701, 47719H2, 8YNV 471, and it's currently 7:11 a.m. The entity has the fake sun over me at Economy Inn, where demons that are flying commercial planes, domestic terrorists like United Airlines and Delta Airlines and Southwest Airlines, are flying over my head, while a fake sun is over me at 2315 South Euclid Avenue, Mobile Gas, and Economy Inn. While this imbecile is moving a lawnmower on the asphalt, gang stalking. That's a psychopath. Not only because they're monitoring, you're literally looking at the absurdity of running a lawnmower around on the asphalt, because this demon is gang stalking. 9RXF519, he's in a frenzy maintaining activity. License plate 7S29322. You'll recall the Starbucks at 706 West Holt Boulevard. I'm documenting the sunset after 7 p.m. And I'm documenting that on what is June 3rd, 2025, the date that I am released from kidnapping by the entity that is still engaging in domestic terrorism, including the Ontario police that are being disbanded. 8JOE446, 66487D4, and this is in the parking lot of the Ontario Village Shopping Center.
where the entities keeping the fake sun, which I've also documented the sunset. And this is also the fake sun. Remember, it's not just in the parking lot, it's over the top of my head at 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4 at this Stater Brothers inside of the Ontario Village Shopping Center, where they are targeting and engaging, monitoring my genitalia, my vagina, inside of the bathroom of the Stater Brothers. This is the entity that's doing so, as you are recognizing the pattern of conduct, that is including a whole supernatural illusion of an environment where surveillance is underway by a population who are sharing presence under what is a fake sun and what is light that's not even naturally occurring. It's not even occurring by under the guise of artificial light, because standing under a light bulb, standing under a street lamp does not create a group of shadows on the ground. It doesn't create multiple shadows. It doesn't create different size shadows. It doesn't create shadows that are varying in concentration. This is demonic, and the demons are stalking and keeping you under surveillance, and they're also monitoring the genitalia of your children. Like I stated, these are sex offenders living as though everyday normal life, and you're under surveillance and you don't even know it. And you're under surveillance not only by the government that doesn't have constitutional authority, but the government is acting with the people of the state, which is changing the context of the Constitution that they are exploiting. They're not private citizens, they're state actors, and they're vicariously engaging in surveillance and furtherance of murder. They murder people that they target. They set people up that they target. They steal from people that they target. They kidnap people that they target. The P.O.C, as I've documented, is also documentation of what is necessarily deporting domestic terrorists that are immigrants in the state of California. And no state, no city has any authority under the Constitution to protect criminals, to shelter them, to provide any sort of place for them to avoid deportation, when the government also is criminal and relying on the criminal activity of the immigrants. And that's what's relevant when supposedly my government is targeting me because I'm reporting immigrants who are terrorizing me. This is, again, the disbanding of the Ontario Police Department, who are proven and demonstrating for you to witness. Not for me to describe it to you, not for me to give you the implications, not for me to legally analyze and logically connect the dots for you. You're looking at them demonstrate and prove to you how much of an enemy they are to the United States. And if they hate me, sweetie, whoever's listening, they hate you too. And that's a threat to your life and safety. It is currently 7:15 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, targeting by at the people of the state. This is where I'm located. It's also where the fake sun is located, and it is where terrorism and psychological torture by the government using the airport, the Ontario International Airport, and every third-party company sharing in the conspiracy to murder the American citizen that they are stalking in commercial planes with the intent to psychologically torture that American citizen, preceding what is murder committed by these same third-party airlines who are gang stalking. That's at 421 C Street. It is currently, and the fake sun is right over me while I'm on the street, and you'll see a gang stalking demon driving a vehicle. May very well be a gang stalking immigrant, not necessarily so, but probable cause when you're looking at the entity and you're documenting, and you are mindful of the statuses of the third parties. And it's 7:43 a.m. and there's no flights that are taking off perpetually hovering through the city of Ontario. The entity's hovering over economy and doing dips and U-turns and donuts, flying over grocery outlet, doing U-turns, flying over my head, flying over me on the sidewalk. And the entity is also engaging in hovering over the Ontario Town Square like they're taking off from there, miles away from the airport. And now you're flying miles away west over me at the coin laundry. And you're looking at the context. Not only is that common sense, you're necessarily flying miles away from the airport. You didn't take off. You're hovering through the city, and then you're flying over the venue, and you will also pay attention to, because it's always where the fake sun is at over me. And also that evidence of where a fake sun is at is speaking to everybody stalking, including everybody in planes. The entity is engaging in this at the people of the state's venue, 421 C Street in Ontario, California, where the entity is engaged in what is, again, pay attention to deviation from the fake sun remaining on Euclid Avenue. Okay, that's P.O.C. It's currently 7:44 a.m. Those are the people of the state that are engaged in surveillance where they live. They don't have any shelter. There's no protection. There is nowhere to hide. I'm going to prosecute you. I'm going to drag you in court wherever these demons are trying to hide. There's nowhere to hide, and there is no protection under the Constitution whatsoever. And the government that's gang stalking with you cannot protect you. They incriminate you. So prepare for a prosecution. This is targeting domestic terrorists in the state of California in the U.S. P.O.C. First off, a demon that's monitoring my device, pulling up as I operate it. Homosexual,
homosexual female, 7 PIC 838, and that's activity creation pursuant to monitoring because she's under a fake sun and an engineered light. And they also engage in a sex offense of molesting you with light that shoots off of their car. No, not really, they're demons. And you're subject to a supernatural, harassing, and psychologically tormenting pattern of conduct. But what you're looking at is the fake sun that is in the same position that it is yesterday evening while I'm capturing the demons of the Ontario Police gang stalking outside of the entrance of the OVITT Family Community Library while they're engaged in criminal summoning of the 280 North Limit Apartments, while you saw the fake sun as I'm facing that same C Street turn circle. This is OVITT Family Community Library where surveillance is underway in a parking lot, knowing who I am, where I'm at, stalking with light activity, engineer light on the curb, 6RBS 913, and they're engaging in what is presence under a fake sun that they know was there for the gang stalking purposes. This is the co-conspirator to murder, which is a government program. This is the government that's engaged in that. And 6RBS 913 is targeting with this psychopath that's also monitored, knowing where it's at, knowing the status of it inside of any bathroom in the city, while they're engaging in this, which is remaining in the same position that it is as I'm out at the same position on this same street on that east side of the same street after 6 p.m. yesterday, where you're looking at what is an illusion. You're going to break it down. What are you going to add to it? Oh, you saw on July 14, 2025, the terrorists, Ontario police, all manner of guns and rifles, wearing vests and wearing all their equipment and putting up a sign calling it police training when it's nothing other than gang stalking, specifically an American citizen. And that is the purpose and the superseding facts of the specific environment. It's not police training. In the same way, it's not an investigation because terrorists surround a building, pull out a helicopter like they're doing every other day, by the way, and engaging in what is an engineer lighting under a fake sun and calling that an investigation. It's the P.O.C. terrorizing and stalking and monitoring an American citizen, surrounding a person like they did under the fake sun, by the way, that's still here at 12:13 p.m. where A. Casada and her 2 sex offending partners are thereby going to federal prison for being sex offenders engaging in surveillance in places like bathrooms, like sex offenders, not police officers engage in, where I'm showing you that pattern of conduct. And you're looking at a highly unintelligent illusion. Okay, this is the P.O.C. and you're understanding what is the same exact street while I am it's 7:49 a.m. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's over 10 hours later. The fake sun is in the same position as though it's setting when you're looking at demons that are wearing police uniforms and they're relying on you to accept and also concede to what is actually no constitutional authority whatsoever while they're engaged in surveillance and stalking and monitoring as demons and not law enforcement. And this is the body of evidence, and this is aiding for what is informing federal legislation serving for targeting domestic terrorists that also target with gang stalking immigrants in this country. This is surveillance. Okay, can't even afford to get an adequate transportation, but it's keeping me under surveillance. 5KJJ478. This is a homosexual, a female monitoring me, doing so with potentially gang stalking immigrants who are not worthy to be in this country, engaging what is a conspiracy to murder together. Contrary to what you think, that there's a whole bunch of racial lines of division, which again there is amongst the demon possessed, but those are the ones that are unified, all colors, all races, with regard to terrorism and the conspiracy to murder American citizens. And the Ontario Police Department hates the United States Constitution, targets with those that are not even natural born citizens, given a privilege, and that privilege does not include terrorism and psychological torture preceding murder of American citizens, also who enforce their rights. This is the prosecution of the entity that committed kidnapping on June 16, 2022, because they're all going to prison. Every single last one of them. This is the entity that's keeping a fake sun over me on one street and deviates, has it over me at the Ontario Village Town Square, on the Ontario Village Shopping Center, specifically the Coin Laundry, and this is all stalking. Following as I go, maintaining presence. And this is engineer light that's appearing in the shade. And that's identifying a homosexual who is stalking another woman, addicted to another woman that she's stalking, obsessed with her genitalia. These are demon-possessed sex offenders who are also engaging in surveillance with the government, stalking in commercial planes. This is P.O.C. All right, it is currently again 7:51 a.m. Look at the video captured yesterday evening after 6, because those demons are going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. All right, helicopter activity at what is 8:43 a.m. and this is again as I am documenting the ongoing stalking. This is harassment and terrorism with the intent to psychologically torture. This is all committed in furtherance of murdering. So this is the city of Ontario that is gang stalking using an entire airport for criminal activity. And as I'm documenting that, and you also be mindful of the departures and the arrivals listed on the website versus what the entity is doing under the fake sun at the Ontario Town Square, where the fake sun is still present, like I documented on video last
last night, where the Ontario police are stalking, and they are stalking at that same address at 8:44 a.m. Sounding helicopter activity is the entity that's engaging in what is, as you analyze that stalker, that co-conspirator to murder, is monitoring pursuant to what is psychological torture and harassment and the intent to obstruct justice, because they're also monitoring evidence, aware that their terrorism is being documented and published, and they're doing so in concert with the people of the state who are sharing in that threat. You have a sex offender stalking right in front of me under the fake sun, engaging in all manner of impunity. Remember, the ones that are being deported, they share in impunity. This is a population that conspires your murder right in your face, that stalks you and harasses and threatens you right in your face, and does so with the enemies of the United States, the corrupt entity that is the Ontario Police. These are demons that are stalking under a fake sun at 224 North Euclid Avenue at 8:45 a.m., where the fake sun is remaining not the natural environment where a sun would be present after 6 p.m., okay, which is what I've already documented here. The entity is engaging in what is harassment by helicopter as the City of Ontario, that is Alan D. Wapner, who's going to be removed from position for engaging in domestic terrorism, an enemy of the United States, conspiring the murder of American citizens, keeping them criminally under surveillance, and then seeking to murder them to conceal that. And that knowledge that it's a conspiracy to commit murder is the evidence of gang stalking, because that's the only reason why police are stalking and kidnapping and falsely depicting your character and accusing you of crimes that you didn't commit. This is the only reason why you maintain things such as a secret, fraudulently procured conservatorship, a fraudulent marriage, trying to steal from that person before you kill them, conspiring their murder, already lying about them being dead, stealing their identity, all while the entity is conspiring your murder by gang stalking you. This is what the entity is sharing in with the people of the state and the Ontario Police Department, who are stalking by helicopter. This is the same agency stalking by the Ontario Police at 12:13 p.m. at the OVITT Family Community Library. Okay, so this is the big picture. They were stalking all last night while I'm documenting immigrants engaging in terrorism, doing so pursuant to the specific environment. The fake sun is over me and the fake moon is over me at night, where the Ontario police are stalking by helicopter and using county-issued vehicles to engage in that criminal system that a population shares in. And this is, again, the failed the miscalculation of engaging in documented criminal activity that's going to be used to prosecute for domestic terrorism and to target enemies of the United States that are engaging in this exposed secret system of surveillance and murder, organized crime. So while I'm at this, the entity is pacing with the people of the state on Euclid Avenue. This is criminal activity that the thousands are sharing in. The sex offenders that are the people of the state that are engaging in pedophilia, that are engaging in sexual violence, in other words, that are engaging in stalking together, psychopathic, that are mentally ill, that are corrupt and engaging in together, targeting someone that they intend to murder and then act like it didn't happen, or assist and aid in each other and controlling a narrative. That's the entity that's pacing on Euclid Avenue under a fake sun and an engineered light. So I'm documenting the entity maintaining presence over Euclid Avenue, over the Ontario Town Square where the fake sun is over me. And I'm showing you also what you'll see. Alaska Airlines has a flight scheduled at 8:35 a.m., a departure coming from gate 205. And then you have a flight of Southwest Airlines at 9 a.m. Going toward Denver, coming from gate 403. And as I captured in screenshots, those flights are the basis of all that Alan D. Wapner is exposing to the public regarding flights that are arrivals and departures coming from, again, what are the only two terminals at that airport, Terminal 2 and Terminal 4, 2500 Airport Drive and 2900 Airport Drive. None of that, neither one of those, when you're taking off and a takeoff from a plane, from an airport in a plane with passengers on board, engaging in what is a flight to a destination that is scheduled, that is shared and published online with regard to a legitimacy of an upright, transparent business, does not include hovering over Ontario Town Square. And it's also relevant that when you are taking off, you're engaging in a sharp incline and rapid increase in elevation and flying at a height and elevation toward that destination, which is, again, the entity is flying northwest about 4 miles away from the airport to then be hovering down over the property where you're looking at the logo, you're hearing the plane activity. And the entity also does that pursuant to, with simultaneity, that is, to what it is that I'm physically doing and what it is that I'm doing on my devices, and also does it in concert with the Ontario police, who have engaged in committed acts of terrorism, and what is also relevant for public nuisances, while they are flying over me in circles incessantly for hours at a time, repeatedly, and then doing so from place to place to place while they are stalking. And that is a documented pattern of conduct. Alan D. Wapner is engaged in this. And while I document the images of the Ontario International Airport stalking, which is proven through that specific environment. This is where the Ontario Police initiate stalking with the intent to obstruct justice based on my documenting of the gang stalking airlines. So the Ontario Police add in helicopter activity. Everybody's being prosecuted. It's the same entity, but the police department is, again, shown to be not a police department, and that terrorist organization is being disbanded. So again, what you'll see captured in screenshots is the entity that is stalking by commercial flight under the fake sun amongst engineer light. And doing so, remember, these are the people of the state that the Ontario Police engage in traffic stops with while they're gang stalking, engage in what health checks with, which is what you saw outside of the OVITT Family Community Library at 1213, where this fake sun at 8:50 is still going to be over the same venue, where the Ontario Police are stalking right now in helicopter, and the Ontario International Airport are stalking in commercial planes, even outside of the published schedule, where no departures from the airport flying west includes hovering over 224 North Euclid Avenue. And it's also happening in the environment where you are aware of the crime scene. A sun sits over the target individual for the duration of the day, as the documentation, the record already reflects. So I do want to go ahead and include, since I'm capturing it, 8:41 a.m. This is Alaska Airlines, flying west, gang stalking. The entity is also maintaining flight at what is 8:30 a.m., hovering over me, over the property again, and this is the entity that is acting in concert with the demons that are surrounding at the Ontario Town Square, and traffic is nothing other than surveillance. Again, at what is 8:22 a.m., hovering over the Ontario Town Square, and doing so at what is also 8:19 a.m., and the entity, this is Southwest Airlines, hovering over the Ontario Town Square, while a demon that's sitting right in front, while the fake sun is over me at the wall of the Ontario Town Square where the large clock is, doing so as I'm turning on a cell phone. And then as I turn on that cell phone, this is where plane activity sounds, where a plane is flying over, where a demon is walking toward and having a seat to engage in surveillance, and doing so under what is that fake sun. And as I document plane after plane after plane, then the demons that are monitoring the entire time are engaging what is using a helicopter. Again, the government that's engaged in the criminal expenditure of funds on criminal activity, criminal surveillance to commit murder, organized crime. And that's the disbanding of the demons who are engaged in criminal surveillance, and also with the intent to obstruct justice, the Ontario Police. It's 8:51 a.m. This is P.O.C.
Gang stalking with Wells Fargo at 240 North Euclid Avenue, license 9MUZ501. On the cameras at the ATM as well, they're criminally monitoring, and the fake sun is over me as the establishment is targeting with 8MUC070, stalking with impossible light activity while they're crossing path at the facilitating venue of Wells Fargo that is engaged in domestic terrorism with the state. It is currently 9:20 a.m. License 6YCY971, 18641H2, 9PAR564, 7YJE246. This is an Asian male driving 9PAR564, pacing, and the fake sun is right here at the Wells Fargo, 9LUA715, and it's right here at the Wells Fargo where it is upon my exit of the OVITT Family Community Library at 6 p.m. yesterday. P.O.C. So is the Ontario Police. They're all stalking and monitoring with the Ontario Police. They're being disbanded. Vehicle 1047, license 1614324, I believe. That's the Ontario Police that are tracking my steps, and the people of the state are gang stalking on their behalf while they're conspiring my murder and stalking as a whole police department, just using helicopter to engage in it. These are the demons that go to federal prison for that. What I just documented, 6YCY971, 9LUA715, 18641H2, and 7YJE246. That's federal prison, just so that you understand how they engage in that targeting and threatening together. Like the police are going to come, and because that's exactly what they do, engage in criminal summoning, intimidation tactics, psychologically torturing you, threatening you impliedly while you document, and you turn around and the police are behind you. Every single last one of those demons go to federal prison. Every single last one of them. All you do is document. This is P.O.C. They're all under the fake sun that's at this same venue where that same terrorist agency is stalking. They're demons, by the way. It's P.O.C. It's 9:21 a.m. 5BDC570,
Stalking and terrorizing with impossible light. 8 UKA 748 is stalking with that demon. They are also monitoring with ARCO, the corrupt business that's engaging in gang stalking as the fake sun is over me as I am walking by ARCO. That's again public corruption, corrupt businesses that are engaging in the system of federal group stalking and monitoring while profiting. And the demons, who are the gang stalkers themselves, thought that they were clever, just coming and purchasing something and being at the venue. And then that's supposed to be, oh, I'm not stalking you, I'm buying something. Oh, I'm not stalking you, I work here. Oh, I'm not stalking you, I was here before you, or I came after you and I don't even know you. And the fake sun is remaining over you as you are encountering the demon-possessed who are conspiring your murder and psychologically torturing you. ARCO is located at 434 North Euclid Avenue. Fake sun moving north up Euclid Avenue. And by the way, I took a picture of that fake sun at 9:23 a.m., where it is rising at 6:38 a.m. at 415 North Euclid Avenue, and you'll look at the same position in alignment with me at that same address, showing you ARCO is stalking. ARCO is stalking in furtherance of murder and kidnapping as a corrupt business, and the government incriminates them while stalking and monitoring you, including as you documented. And this is again Alan D. WAPNER that's stalking, flying over me at E Street in Euclid via the terrorists of Southwest Airlines, who are following as I'm walking north up Euclid Avenue. Again, that's again flying farther away from the place where they're at to engage in what is perpetually rising in elevation. They're taking off all over in the city of Ontario. No, they're stalking. They're stalking me in planes, and that is in furtherance of conspiracy to murder. License 58975W3 is stalking with that airport, with that airline. And Southwest Airlines, that is headquartered in Dallas, Texas, they're going to be civilly and criminally prosecuted for conspiracy to murder. And to do so as a terrorist with the government with impunity. Okay, this is P.O.C. It is currently 9:26 a.m. Eight VUJ U27 7 ROW 611. All of them sex offenders with impossible light. Sex offender one after another, touching all over your body with impossible light activity. And this, by the way, is a demon-possessed gang stalker at a fake church. First Christian Church in Ontario, they're full of demons. Let me show you, I'm taking a picture of you so you can see the use of words and the use of a building does not equal an actual Christ follower. This is Satan that calls himself a First Christian Ontario Church or a Bethel Congregational United Church of Christ. You know them by their deeds, not by the name that's on the exterior of a building, not by the people that say the name of Jesus outside of their faces while they're in Engineer Light, 5D 20559, engaging in the satanic criminal system of monitoring outside of the doors of the church. That's gang stalking, which is satanic, having nothing to do with Christ Jesus. This is the blasphemous conduct of the demon-possessed who are going to answer. He is coming back in judgment. And that fake sun, which is the product of Satanism, is right over this fake church, where they're monitoring me as I walk by the doors of these church. Demons inside of this fake church monitoring right now. Monitoring is antithetical, the exact opposite of what those who follow Christ engage in. Monitoring is the act of the demons, the demon-possessed. This is P.O.C. And the fake sun is over me at Euclid Avenue. And there's no difference from the demons walking out here and stalking in planes and helicopters and on the streets than the demons hiding inside of a fake church. P.O.C. Sex offender 01585Z3. Terrorism, psychological torture, conspiracy to murder, sex offense, 9DGR 119, molestation with radiant orange, impossible light activity while they're driving by on the street. These are domestic terrorists that are, again, banking on the death of the person that they're stalking with the government to commit murder. License 6YYV351. And this is, again, a state full of serial killers, a state full of pedophiles, a state full of sex traffickers. Okay, a state full of stalkers. And this is the population that the Ontario police are stopping on the side of the road. And you're supposed to think that that's a traffic stop or a health check. They're all under the fake sun stalking me. That's mental illness. That's actual mental illness. 9EPN 055. License 8JLH039. Thousands of people keeping my vagina under surveillance. License LEXVIBS, sex offender. Monitoring my vagina. 9GLB370. A sex offender having kids in their backseat and their sex offenders keeping a woman's vagina under surveillance. 7WVU930. 4MY, I can't really see that one. AZLM603. And this is why the Ontario Police is being disbanded. 9NSD170. Sex offenders, okay? indistinguishable sex offenders, demons, stalkers, co-conspirators to murder. And guess what? The ones that are driving Ontario Police Department vehicles and that are stalking in Ontario, City of Ontario helicopters, they're being removed from law enforcement. This is not law enforcement. This is public corruption. This is sexual violence. Okay? This is literally what is making a joke out of what is has a serious and actual purpose in civilization and amongst what should be law and order, which is the purpose of law enforcement, the role of law enforcement. And the Ontario Police have made a joke out of it. Not only made a joke out of it, they have made it. They have shown themselves to be nothing other than a preposterous joke. And embarrassing them and openly shaming them is a part of exposure and a part of the punishment with regard to being disbanded and prosecuted as well. And this is why you have rampant criminal conduct, sex offenders stalking by the thousands in California. 172884H1. And the fake sun remains over me as I'm walking north up Euclid Avenue, past the Starbucks. There's no sun that's originating through the window of Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, rising there through that window on Euclid Avenue, staying there until after, let's see, when I would go to the OVITT Family Community Library, typically 11, 12, maybe 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That's not the sun. Starbucks is monitoring, and as I walk by Starbucks, that fake sun moves as I move. Starbucks committed kidnapping, and Starbucks committed kidnapping with impunity. Starbucks is first of all, a corrupt company that is engaged in monitoring American citizens, not just me. This is for your purposes with regard to information that you need, with regard to knowledge about those that actually have a disdain for you and this country. Because there are implications regarding what's going to happen in this country, regarding those who you think are pro-America, who you think are looking out for the best interests of American citizens, regarding what you think would never or could never happen because of whoever you think they are or whatever you think they represent. And it couldn't be farther from the truth. They hate this country. They're loyal to the almighty dollar. 9CBV1A1, 78JR952, and if that means selling your privacy, if that means selling off and getting rid of you, that is having you murdered, having you kept under surveillance, even at your neighborhood Starbucks that are fully engaged in that pattern of conduct with regard to any threat that you pose to that system while they're making money off of it, then it's off with your head. Or so that's how this operation works. This is how this system works. And Starbucks is, again, making millions and millions of dollars off of gang stalking. And then obstruction of justice. This is why Ocean's going to federal prison. You are going to federal prison. This is setting a precedent with regard to targeting domestic terrorists, which is what Starbucks and Ocean and Amelia and Patty and all those that engaged in kidnapping on July 4th because they thought that you could harass and terrorize somebody, and then while they document you and play your stupid game, which you're losing at, and so you're mad, you're a sore loser, admittedly engaging in surveillance and doing so, by the way, and then engaging in what is a kidnapping, you're going to prison for that. It's terrorism in the United States. By psychopaths who are making your coffee if you still support Starbucks, which is an enemy of the United States. License plate 4RYA395 P.O.C. 9MUN642. Again, the ongoing incessant sex offense. Everybody repeating the same sex offense over and 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 over again. Okay? This is, again, the entity that is, again, collectively sex offenders stalking you, engaging in domestic terrorism. It's 9:51 a.m. at G Street in Euclid, where the sun was remaining outside of my my hotel room window from 7 until 11 a.m. And I am north of that hotel room window where the two would not occur at the same time. And these are sex offenders molesting me that are also sex offenders keeping me under surveillance in a hotel room. 7XYJ278, 9LOW09A, 7MTH01A, P.O.C. 8ZPH428, 7NBS101, 9MDL595. They're stalking at Euclid and G Street while the state controls the lights, maintaining a red light so that demon after demon is crossing path while I walk south on Euclid Avenue. Under the fake sun moving over me south again after walking north of Euclid Avenue. 6YYV351, the same street where the fake sun is rising on this same Euclid Avenue. License 8BIA932, 8LJF462. 9HDH 457, 7XTU 237, all of them sex offenders with a child. 9JVD 591 with a child engaging in that sex act as an entity committed in furtherance of murder. So this is the entity that's also engaging in a sex act with children. Those children are engaging in the gang stalking pattern with the entity. That's, again, the unlawful criminal contribution to the delinquency of minors, teaching children to be predators, teaching them to be stalkers, teaching them how to psychologically torture people that they don't know, and that who are, again, ignorant that they're being targeted until the day that they do become aware of it, which is what I'm also exposing, how the entity behaves once they know that the target individual is not ignorant, and then they merely engage in what is more aggressive stalking conduct. 6TWF 331, 9NCU 939. Okay, these are demons that are touching. It's a sex offense committed outside of the doors of a fake church, having nothing to do with Christ Jesus. The state of California, again, is engaging in what is using quote-unquote churches as businesses. They raise money. They engage in criminal monitoring. 9RZS 105. And I believe in the Bible, the Lord was turning over tables for that type of conduct. 8YHH 490. And this is why the state of California is being met with judgment and much more. And in addition, this is a warning that the entity did not take heed to, demons did not take heed to. And in addition to that, Christ Jesus is coming back, and he's coming back very soon, and he's coming back in judgment. He's coming back in judgment. License 7ZAY 621, molesting. 9EMY 217, molesting, driving in the middle lane, impossible light activities, floating in the air, touching all over my person, demons that are stalking who know exactly who you are in doing so. That's also occurring when I'm inside of a building. Those demons know where I am, targeting me with that same light, and you've seen that on video inside of domestic terrorist identified as Starbucks in the United States. Yeah, that's P.O.C. License 90832K2. 7TGF122. Filling up your gas tank at a facilitating venue while you're being accosted with impossible light, closing your car doors, stalking with audible activity in the path, a psychopath, 8PZT185. And that psychopath is license plate 7TYG852 at 506 North Euclid Avenue, the Chevron where the fake sun is over me. It's 9:57 a.m. The fake sun is over me at this venue at 6 and 7 o'clock in the morning. 6EIL437. Also, I'm showing you the same thing when I'm at Starbucks, showing you the fake sun that's remaining across the street from Chevron after 6 p.m. This is where, again, demons, not EMTs, are engaging in surveillance and using AMR as a logo to do so. 39845C3, vehicle 02291. Demons that commit murder and engage in surveillance, sounding sirens, and stalking in ambulances, that's mental illness. Totally unfit to even be in the medical profession. But though that's the malicious iteration of the pattern of conduct where public corruption is underway, and psychopaths are actually in the medical field, engaging what is conspiring to murder people and abusing the position in the medical field in doing so, even down to what is stalking using ambulances. Because that's all AMR is doing right now under the fake sun. It's currently 9:58 a.m. It's P.O.C. All right, Ontario Police, the same demon-possessed population, stalking under a fake sun at the same place where it's rising at 6:39 a.m. License 1706939, vehicle 1131. License 9ULY533. Gang stalking with the police, 8S 90683. And what you need to understand is that there is no distinction amongst the demon-possessed. The demon-possessed that are driving Ontario Police Department vehicles are the ones that are being disbanded, and they're going to federal prison for gang stalking. In furtherance of murder, to commit what is psychological torture, that's war tactics against an American citizen, doing so while they are anticipating, planning, conspiring the death of that targeted individual. That's why the Ontario Police are engaged in criminal summoning. While they're doing so under a fake sun that's at the same location it is at 6:39 a.m. on video, which is speaking to the supernatural environment where their partner is engaged in gang stalking criminal summoning at 12:13 p.m. at 215 EC Street, which is, again, on the opposite side of the same building of the Ontario Downtown Luxury Apartments, where a psychopath listens to the evidence and then doesn't have anything else to do other than what they do as demons, sound sirens and use lights, and then go to ARCO at 434 North Euclid Avenue, where everybody's gang stalking, and uses the police lights, which is a demon that is monitoring, a demon that's engaging what is legally analyzed as a show of aggression. It's an unlawful threat, while a psychopath is freaking out because they're being documented. All right, engaging in what is a traffic stop at the gas station. Everybody was over there parked. They pull over anybody, and they're engaged in the P.O.C. That's what they're doing at Gloria's Cochinas at 3 in the morning, wanting to be next to my vagina, wanting to be next to me in the middle of the night. Surrounding Gloria's Cochinas is what you see on the surface. Demons monitoring and engineered light, stalking with light, is what's happening in substance under the fake moon, where the same exact impossible light activity is happening during the day under a fake sun as it is at night, with the multiple shadows upright and changing and vacillating in size and concentration of color. Surrounding a building, surrounding a person with a bunch of demons that wear badges in the specific environment is the P.O.C. The demon possessed, assuming that you would remain ignorant, will call it an investigation, call it something that you're supposed to entrust that they handle and that they have the authority to do so. That's public corruption and the abuse of authority, abuse of power, and they're assuming that you are going to remain ignorant and also that you are going to blindly trust what they say is an investigation. They're gang stalking, and that psychopathic behavior is exactly why many demons are surrounded by evidence. All their partners are putting each other in federal prison as I surround them with the evidence of the P.O.C. while they were surrounding me, gang stalking me. All right, it's currently 10:02 a.m. Criminal summoning by Ontario Police at 434 North Euclid Avenue under the fake sun. Happening seconds as I document that demon at the stoplight. Gang stalking with the rest of these demons. I'm literally narrating the P.O.C. They're molesting one demon after another with impossible light. There is no difference while a demon drives an Ontario Police Department vehicle, while that agency is stalking day and night in helicopter, and then you want to use that's the P.O.C. 9GQX05 the intellectually inept. Again, those that are subject to what is, they're not only intellectually inept, they are literally incompetent. Based on the psychopathic pattern of conduct, that's not only not a secret, it's a basis to not only diagnose but convict. Okay, the entities engaging in criminal conduct with ARCO, that's already proven to be gang stalking. So that's P.O.C. That license plate represents a state actor that's relevant for federal prison. Federal prison, using a county-issued vehicle to engage in criminal activity, to commit conspiracy of murder, to engage in criminal stalking, to do so in furtherance of what is terrorism in the United States, and to do so with the intent to obstruct justice. License 5B VR 522 is engaged in criminal summoning with the Ontario Police at ARCO. 00845P2, the same. 7FSV 352, the same. 5HJM 900, the same. 63609E2, the same. 9UMZ 435, the same. 9TRW 122, the same. They're all engaging in a molestation while a fake sun remains over me, and this is how a population is engaging in a sex act, molesting with engineered light. And you're understanding that's what's happening at nightfall when you're driving way across the opposite side of a street and I'm being touched with, oh, your headlights? No, that's a sex offender, that's molesting. They use a fake sun over the target individual to engage in that same sex act during the day. Where demons who are sex offenders wear Ontario police badges and uniforms and operate vehicles that are issued by the government, that corrupt government that's going to be less one police department in the city of Ontario. They shall be no more. All right, it's 10:04 a.m. 9S XK 849, and while the entity is engaging in criminal summoning at ARCO, there's no sun over the entrance of the OVITT Family Community Library, because that's not the sun in the first place. It's an indicator to criminal activity by the city of Ontario, which is the state of California, who are millions of psychopaths whose mental illness is no longer closeted and whose criminal system is fully exposed, while they tried to murder and stalk and psychologically torture one person. 8PWK763 under the fake sun that's not over the entrance of the OVITT Family Community Library. As demons tend to freak out, the more damning my analysis is. This is Michael GERKEN that's obsessed with my vagina as well, while he's engaged in what a federal offense, criminal summoning. Under Title 18, Section 22618, subsections 1 and 2, the fake sun is over 320 North Euclid Avenue, P.O.C. Impossible light on the ground. License 1332569. That's a federal offense committed by the Ontario Fire Department. Gang stalking under the fake sun all day long, where it's rising and setting at the same plaza where the Ontario Fire Department is located. In addition, this is what they were doing at 9:59 in the morning under the fake sun at the entrance. That's where it was, where Ontario Fire went out of its way again to engage in criminal summoning, threatening me with impossible light on the ground while a demon, a white male in particular, turns on the lights of that fire truck of the Ontario Fire Department, which is on video at the entrance of the library. And if it was the sun over Euclid Avenue where I'm at right now, then it would have been over the entrance of the OVITT Family Community Library, where demons are idiotic enough to think that you're going to mistake that engineer light on the ground for sunlight, which would be impossible if the fake sun was what would be west of the fire truck, and then no provision for what is sunlight that's appearing on the ground. But the engineer light is always appearing in a manner that is entirely incongruent and illogical and scientifically impossible, including while these demons are driving in the shade, driving at night. And you're looking at that same engineer light, the signature of demons who are engaging in criminal surveillance, monitoring, and federal stalking on the internet via devices, communication devices. This is the entity that's engaging in what is monitoring evidence and having freaking out while they're being exposed. By the way, this has been the case. They've been prosecuted. They're waiting to be raided. That's what they're waiting on. And the federal government is watching all of the corroborating evidence regarding what I proved a long time ago. And there is a whole laundry list of demons that are going to federal prison. Michael GERKEN is done with firefighting, and so is every other demon of the Ontario Fire Department. They're not engaged in firefighting. They're engaged in criminal surveillance in furtherance of a conspiracy to commit murder, not firefighting. And since that's the case, that's exposing what is a whole criminal expenditure of resources, wasted money on criminal activity that they didn't even accomplish. And they didn't do it competently before Satan, who was laughing at them, by the way, and so was the rest of the country. License 49460B4 AMR, gang stalking under the fake sun. That's continuously moving, and it's still not over the entrance of the OVITT Family Community Library like it is on video, where Ontario Fire Department is engaged in what is specifically threatening me because I put that sex offender Michael GERKEN's face on the Google Drive under the appropriate label. Sex offender. Loud and proud, because that's what he is. That's why the Ontario Fire Department is gang stalking all those sex offenders under his corrupt leadership. Okay, the entities engaging in this, and this is speaking to the inconsistency of the specific environment, which is the evidence of an engineered environment pursuant to surveillance, in furtherance of murder, in conformity to a pattern of conduct. None of this is going to be in Hesperia over my hotel room, outside of the entrance doors of the Holiday Inn in Hesperia off of Key Point. None of that's going to be in alignment to my Holiday Inn hotel room. It's not going to be over the sunroof of my car while I'm in that parking lot, all of which I documented. This is P.O.C. State surveillance by the highly unintelligent and mentally unstable entity that engages in what is pacing and sounding sirens and lights when they listen to very damning evidence against them. And that's because they are actually slow. This is a special needs population, and if they had any sense that they would have known that this evidence established this prosecution a long time ago, like I told them. But the demon-possessed, again, they've been living amongst illusions for so long, getting off on what is witchcraft, getting away with corrupt acts, and thinking that this is going to be the same, and it's not. They've sacrificed their own careers. They've sacrificed their families. They've sacrificed what is their freedom. They've sacrificed their well-being. Okay? Because this is a civil and criminal prosecution for terrorism at that. This is P.O.C. It's 10:09 a.m. The fake sun is back at the Ontario Town Square over me. P.O.C.
This is the same Ontario Town Square where you've seen the Ontario Police Department stalking under the fake sun at 9 o'clock, specifically 8:59 until 9:59 in the morning, and 9:53 until 10:17 a.m. This is 224 North Euclid Avenue, where the fake sun is still present, which is evidence to you that not only are the Ontario Police engaged in what is documented evidence, hard, tangible evidence submissible in federal court for what is stalking and targeting, which shall be treated as what it is. Actually, it's domestic terrorism, while the entity is engaging in stalking using helicopters in conformity to a statewide pattern of conduct in a specific environment that's supernatural. And I'm going to show you that in a second. And they're doing it in furtherance of conspiracy to commit murder. And they continuously use this helicopter because the demons, that is the mentally ill, demon-possessed person, is really thinking in their mind that, first of all, it's a good idea to continuously terrorize and harass using helicopter, that it is threatening behavior that's actually effective, that's going to stop an ongoing active federal case, and that it's going to help their co-defendants like the Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields and all the demons that are going to federal prison. The demons that are gang stalking in the city of Ontario, for example, A. Casada, who's under the fake sun at the OVITT Family Community Library at 12:13 p.m., and where it is right now, 5:49 p.m., and it is still here. All right, this is the entity where you're looking at both the OVITT Family Community Library, where the fake sun is over me, at 10 o'clock in the morning, and at 12:13 p.m. yesterday, a Casada and those other two sex offenders are monitoring my vagina in that bathroom. And your awareness and your knowledge, conclusive evidence of that is the non-movement of what is a fake sun speaking to targeting me, as I'm showing you at this same address, this fake sun that is over me while I'm at this same Ontario Town Square at 9 o'clock in the morning. And you're also looking at targeting while the demon flies over me in helicopter. Unmistakable evidence of targeting in an environment that is supernatural. The sun never went to Florida again today, where the Ontario police are engaged in targeting. The Ontario International Airport engaged in ongoing targeting, stalking by commercial planes in the same manner with the same city of Ontario, and so is the Ontario Fire Department. That is the sex offender and the co-conspirator to murder Michael GERKEN, Mike LORENZ, and Alan D. WAPNER, who are engaging in a statewide P.O.C, actively engaged in what is unlawful conduct, domestic terrorism. And this is the evidence that is serving for what is federal legislation targeting domestic terrorists who are subject to federal prison. And those kidnappers of the Ontario police who are engaged in stalking as an agency with the people of the state, that's a stalker. She's driving under what is a fake sun and engineered light. And you also know that engineered light flies all over the place while those demons engage in the supernatural stalking. And this is also a sex offender and a psychopath. The homosexuals, this is an aged one with minor children, monitoring on a communication device, threatening, stalking, terrorizing while playing with minor children and conveniently engaging in domestic terrorism. These are the mentally ill that conspire the murder and psychologically torture an American citizen. C. Torres, L. Martinez, Nathan Morgan, and B. Hook are going to federal prison for the May 29, 2025 kidnapping committed with Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields. C. Hazelwood and Owens are going to federal prison for the July 15, 2025 attempted kidnapping, the unlawful search and battery that the entity commits while they're engaged in stalking, as the Ontario police are continuously documented engaging in as an entire agency with the people of the state. These are demons that are pacing under the fake sun. This is demonic activity, and they are actively targeting me specifically. That's why the fake sun is in alignment to me on the same Euclid Avenue that it is at 6:38 a.m., where those demons are stalking me with impossible light, and they're stalking with impossible light while I remain molested under a fake sun and the terrorist organization conspiring my murder. That is going to be disbanded. The Ontario police are stalking in a helicopter. The entity is also going to federal prison. That includes A. Casada L. Edwards and Alex Escobar engaging in kidnapping on July 4, 2025. This is P.O.C. It's currently 5:51 p.m. at 224 North Euclid Avenue, where the Ontario police are targeting me in helicopter in the same manner with the people of the state. This is exposing public corruption, and it is also the foundation for what is probable cause within all of the states within the United States by the federal government to investigate the corrupt states that are engaging in criminal surveillance. This is P.O.C.